Justice is afoot. The three ninjas kick it back, old school. Now, what can I say that hasn't already been said? You know 'em, you love 'em, you know all their names by heart. The series is ever on the tip of Americans' tongues. We got Hachi, Sembo, the Big Whopper, and their never-ending quest to spread their message of ultimate ratitude attitude. Until the big old mean Shadow Syndicate kidnaps the Golden Power Oyster, or some such, I don't know. That's probably what these movies are about. I've never felt any desire to watch those movies. I'm betting they're pretty awful and probably mildly racist. Who knows? I don't care, do you? Okay, so in the interest of being needlessly thorough, you can go ahead and skip to the next chapter down there. It's fine. Or, you know what, go ahead and click anywhere on that bar down there. Just the further to the right, the better, honestly. Okay, so from what I gather, Three Ninjas is a series about three California cool kids who train with their Japanese grandfather, played by Chinese-American actor Victor Wong, who you might know as Egg Chen from Big Trouble in Little China.
See? That was nothing.
So are you Chinese or Japanese? The three kids get wrapped up in some criminal espionage type nonsense, and I'm sure on paper at least some cigar-chomping executive with dollar signs in his eyes thought the movie was going to be the blockbuster combination of Home Alone and The Karate Kid. We got three Macaulay Culkins who are 90s rad ninjas. How can we lose? It was directed by John Turteltaub, who went on to direct Cool Runnings, Phenomenon, and National Treasure.
Okay.
The first Three Ninjas was the only movie in the series that was released by Touchstone and Disney that wasn't considered a box office bomb. The rest of the trash was offloaded to TriStar and Sony Pictures Releasing, culminating in the box office smash hit, final entry 1998's Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain, featuring Hulk Hogan. Yeah, brother. It opened to 120 theaters and earned a whopping $150,000, according to IMDb. Also, tragically, it ended up being Victor Wong's final movie before he passed away in 2001. But Three Ninjas kick back the promising, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed second entry. Colt, Rocky, and Tum Tum are back. The ninjas and their grandpa go to Japan to return some old dagger for reasons. Then some thugs get involved. There's a mix-up, something about a cave of gold, and everybody's playing baseball. I don't know. I couldn't be paid to watch any of these movies. I remember in the trailer, one of the ninjas saying, "It's not ingenuity, it's ningenuity."
You've heard of ingenuity, right? Well, this is ningenuity.
And my 7 or 8-year-old brain had an aneurysm on the spot. I'm dead now. All of this is just a dream. So they made a little game about the whole thing. Kids will buy any slop with pictures of cool kids on the cover. The Three Ninjas Kickback video game was one of the final releases from Malibu Interactive before they were closed and their parent company was acquired by Marvel, releasing just a month after the movie in June of 1994. Three Ninjas Kickback released on Super Nintendo, Genesis, and the Sega CD. It seems to follow the general plot of the movie more or less and features Victor Wong, giving directives to the kids from some dark void in between levels. The Sega CD version had a full-motion video Victor Wong.
Within the time limit. But avoid the flashing anti-bonus item, or your chance to gain wealth and health will end.
But that's not the version we're cursed with today. This is the Super Nintendo version. We're going to do a level-by-level rundown, but first, let's take a peek at the instruction booklet. It opens to a message from the kid's grandpa. Welcome, humble players, to the realm of the ninja. I, Mori, will train you in the arts of ninjutsu. You must be prepared for the amazing journey you are about to take. Never forget, a ninja is heart, body, mind, and spirit. When the four work together as one, a ninja cannot be beaten. As Rocky, you must be the strength of the team. Use your gifts well to overcome great adversity. As Colt, you must be the speed of the team. Control your temper and use the inner energy as a powerful weapon. As Tum Tum, you are the stealth of the team. Use your small size as an advantage against those who do not know your fury. And Tum Tum, cut down on the snacks. Fatty! Work well together, young ones. Count on each other's strength to help you conquer all of your goals. Learn well and never fear the shadows, for they are like your brothers. Warning, please read the enclosed consumer information and precautions booklet carefully before using your Nintendo hardware system or game pack. Let's see here. Credits. Assistant producer David Jaffe? Oh my god.
I'm so tired of seeing people come online and go, this is unacceptable. We want the devs to be happy, quality of life. But if you go to these companies that you know they're going to crunch, and you act like, oh, what is this? This is unacceptable. No, that's making video games, baby. Welcome to the jungle.
Children with varying shades of bowl cuts stare at us determinedly from behind the table of contents. Their look seems intended to instill one final sentence of skepticism before we plunge deeper into the world of Three Ninjas Kickback. Leave now, for beyond this point there is no turning back. Bring on the guys! What's better than this? Guys being dudes. The bad guys. What's worse than this? Guys being rudes. A tale of gold. No one is hurt as they scuffle and toss each other across the forest in the session. Yes, very important that parents know nobody is going to get hurt. Yes. Under survival skills, we are instructed to try to get behind our opponents and to generally avoid confrontation if possible. There are secrets that only open with bombs, and this game runs on the password system. Great. Thankfully, our super top secret Super Nintendo and definitely legitimate copy of the game supports save states. Alright, so there's a jump button, of course. Jump height depends on how long you hold B. X to bomb. You can drop through certain platforms, hang off others, crawl, and pressing up and the A button activates an overhead defensive move. I'm sure I'll definitely remember that one. And then B plus A does a flying kick. However, A plus B does some kind of dodge. Okay. And who are we fighting? Samurai? Sumo wrestlers? Nurse Shibuya? Huh? The other ninjas? Huh? And the Grungers. Glam, Slam, and Vinny always turn up when you least expect them. The least they could do is turn into a wisp of smoke and blow away. But no, they just keep coming back for more. Ah, yes. The classic video game enemy types we all know and love. Apparently, Tum Tum loves sumo wrestlers. Isn't your life that much more enriched knowing that?
Whoa! Look at those feet!
The game has standard video game type items. Most just give points. Points in turn can earn extra lives. There's a set of masks you can find that give you an extra life if you're playing as the correct character. And there are crystal balls that can clear the screen of enemies to give you special shots or boost your strength for a limited time. The game can be up to 2 players, and you can only choose from the 3 ninja brothers, even though a ninja girl is featured in a lot of the photos in the booklet, because everyone knows only boys play video games, and if a boy plays as a girl, he'll get a fatal case of cuties.
Girl?
A child.
Rocky with the staff, Colt, who uses a sword, and Baby Tum Tum going Raphael style with the sai. Enough! Let's get on with the game. Choose one of 3 obnoxious white goblins. Retch before their demonic wails.
Let's murder
Made a mistake. Grandpa speaks to us from the void. He tells tale of sacred dagger earned to him from days of yore. Young Grandpa won a tournament. Could this dagger, in conjunction with another blade, be the one to open the door to a cave of gold laden with riches? So basically they were like, congratulations, kiddo, here's a big target on your back. Hold on to that for a while, yeah? What a reward. Well, back then, a boy named Koga did try to steal Grandpa's special dagger. Tried. Well, it's 50 years later, and Grandpa must return the blade for a new ninja tournament, lest he incur late fees. To the woods. We are immediately assailed by the discordant, jaunty tunes of the forest. Grandpa has set an elaborate series of deadly traps because Grandpa has a lot riding on these youngsters' life insurance payouts, okay? But it has to look like an accident. Let's really take a moment to appreciate the fine sound design here. Every collectible and pick up a dagger to the ears. Every jump from platform to precarious platform, a cacophonous array of shattering glass. Miles away, a young stone-cold Steve Austin feels a faint tickle in his loins. Zone 2, the hillside. That's it. That's the hillside, completely unedited. Grandpa speaks from beyond the void. He was testing the children. Remember what I taught you. Concentration, restraint, control, and unity. 4 strands of rope. It is time to call the Elderly Care Hotline. Our final test is to destroy 8 hidden training dummies in the forest. At this point, I imagine Grandpa has given up on collecting the full life insurance policies of the children. He has resolved to maybe just shaving off one of them. Probably Tum Tum, the little one. Oh yes. Weak little Tum Tum. Now, I should probably point out that I was having a bit of trouble with this game. The game is a little difficult, but not as hard as I was making it out to be. And while some of this may seem unfair, surely I'm just playing like an idiot, right? Surely it's just me, it's my fault. Right? I jumped in completely blind, so I went through a bit of a learning curve. That said, the game isn't particularly difficult once you know what you're doing. At first! It took me far too long to realize you have to hold up to grab onto swinging ropes and such, but so far it actually plays decent and feels responsive. It's just a shame about, well, everything else. So on to the next. Bah! Sorry for not providing a jump scare warning, or should I blur that out? Nobody got time for that. Yeah? What? Who? Uncle? How's the weather in Japan? Yeah, I got a photo right here. Cool knife. Tuesday is coming. Did you bring your coat? So this creature's uncle in Japan is devising a scheme for the dagger. Zone 4, to the cabin. An auto-scrolling level. What fun! Every child's favorite. But after many trials and tribulations and ninjas that legitimately caught me off guard and had me cackling alone in my room like an idiot every time they briskly walked into a boulder and exploded, we find our way. And as a reward for surviving, Grandpa has awarded us a bonus room. Ta-da! Yay! Yay! But how could Grandpa afford us such sparkling baubles and glass finery? I guess the insurance policy paid out. I'm in Tokyo General, a fine hospital, except for this wicked nurse with a face like a dragon's butt. Speaking of faces like dragon butts, this is the worst episode of Wayne's World I have ever seen. So these are the grungers, because I guess this is what some out-of-touch Hollywood executives think listening to a lot of Soundgarden and Alice in Chains does to a person. No, okay, I see it now. I stand corrected. Grandpa sends the 3 children, presumably off on their own, to find the dagger in Japan and deliver it. Sounds like Grandpa's still trying to pawn those kids off. Good on him. I support his cause. Level 2, Zone 1, Mori's Cabin. So another thing I'm going to give this game credit for is that most of these levels have varied quite a bit from each other so far, regularly introducing new gimmicks instead of being a completely generic left-to-right side-scrolling platformer with occasional exploding ninjas. This level, you're in Grandpa's cabin, and you have to gather a set amount of items before you're allowed to leave the level. Hey, is that Tor Johnson of Ed Wood movie fame?
Time for go to bed.
Now, I'm not going to say I've been enjoying this game so far, but I'm also not comfortable calling it outright bad yet either. Yeah, the cabin is large, but thankfully not sprawling. Three ninjas kick back experiments with non-linear level design. Get everything you need, avoid the grungers' bold tactic of sitting around and waiting to drop stuff on children. Climb on the roof, fight Tor Johnson back near the exit, and blow that popsicle stand.
Time for go to bed.
Level 2, Zone 2, Secret Cave. An orange ninja immediately throws a knife your way from behind a wall in a ploy to inform the player that you will, in fact, be exploring this cave, and if playing other licensed properties have taught you anything, you will be getting lost and confused about where to go. I begin questioning my commitment to play through the entirety of the game instead of simply borrowing all my footage from World of Long Plays. So, we got trampolines you can push to reach higher places, pressure plates attached to giant boulders, and the odd drop of faith for good measure, a dash of difficult to initially spot fire spouts on the ground, falling stalactites, shuriken-throwing ninjas, these weird spike-shooting thingamajigs, and lots of missing collectibles. It's around this time that a palpable sense of despair begins to settle in. I'm starting to get flashbacks to things like Kaizo Mario or Cat Mario.
Drew, where'd you go on vacation? Drew.
If I get to the end of this level and am confronted with a gate that won't open because I didn't find the magic key hidden in some alcove I overlooked near the start of the level, I'm going to write a very angry letter to Barack Obama. Oh no. These kinds of alternating platforms. You know, like the ones in that Mega Man level, except those have an audio tell and general rhythm you can trust. These just sort of pop out, and you either have to have gamer precognition or simply keep moving and get lucky. At least they're actually moving at set intervals and not completely randomly like some bad games. You can go right off to video game jail with these. Grandpa has awarded us with yet another bountiful bonus room. The experience was free, and yet I want my money back. Hey, look at this young, excitable lady. She apparently loves her job and can't wait to administer various salves and medicines. She's stoked to help people. I know you shouldn't judge people from the outside, but she's already my favorite character. Level 3, Zone 1, The Hospital. Okay, so we gotta free a bunch of people who were apparently tied up by the grungers for, again, reasons. The grungers aren't really so much a threat as they are a confusing occasional annoyance from what I can gather. This level is a bit like the cabin level from earlier, except I think we can find Grandpa on this level. Again, my compliments to the sound design. 10 out of 10, perfect, no notes. A burger? From plants? But that'd be an impossible burger. Level 3's Zone 2. Whoa! Nurse Shibuya.
Woke watch. Stop in the name of the law. Stop in the name of gamer law. You're being pulled over for being too woke.
Now, take a look at this, gamers. This is a particularly egregious example of the woke media taking things too far, yet again, in the ongoing far leftist plot to emasculate Western men and turn women into large, 20 feet tall, hulking slabs of writhing meat bristling with the sort of muscles I only find attractive on men. Now, I've seen many women before through the lens of my binoculars at night, through their windows while doing my part to protect them from nightly ne'er-do-wells, because some men still believe in protecting women, and nary a single one is shaped like this. This child still has room to grow, but he's nearing full maturity and is likely the height of the average full-grown woman at this stage in his life. But this strong, capable woman running a successful hospital in a foreign land is completely unrealistic in an attempt to challenge the woke notion of beauty standards, and probably saying something woke about the so-called pay gap or some nonsense. Unbelievable nonsense. It takes me out of the Three Ninjas kickback for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System every time. If I can look at a single depiction of a member from the opposite sex without perceiving them in close proximity to my own personal narrow view of sexual desires, I become lost and confused, and then the scary thoughts turn inward and make me question the complexities and nuances of the world around me, and I start to process all the words entering my head from outside instead of creating safe threads of controlled opposition out of thin air that I can easily defeat. That's why every woman shown on a screen, regardless of the context, needs to have her back constantly arched at impossible angles, wearing wildly impractical clothing, and has my full legal name tattooed somewhere on their being. Every single one. And if the woke called blue-haired far leftist game developers of 1994 can't handle that bare minimum, then they are simply worshipping a reality that is far removed from our own.
And that was this week's Woke Watch.
It's Grandpa's special bonus time! Level 4, Zone 1, Japanese Gardens. Little known fact, most gardens in Japan are in fact Japanese. This level, on the other hand, more of a bamboo forest really, but what do I know? I'm not a likely underpaid game developer at a failing company desperately trying to prove their worth, while the threat of closure looms above their heads, tasked with releasing a competent product based on another flailing intellectual property that surely nobody in the office enjoys. Maybe I can stand to be a bit more charitable in their level naming conventions. I'm not sure what to say about this level. There's trees in them. You can jump on them. Surprise! Ninjas! Thingamajigs that breathe fire, lots of verticality. I have the slight inclination to say something snarky about Coke cans being found inside Japanese lanterns in this bamboo forest, but my heart's just not in it anymore. I'd also really like to make a long screed about how I think 99% of vertical level design in forest levels from this era of video games are some of the worst garbage. About how most of these devolve into simply finding the right sequence of branches to jump to and from in order to proceed to the end of the level, and how the visual sameness of the forests tend to make it impossible to make a mental map and keep track of which branches you've already tried, but oh, no, never mind. I think that's the screed. That's about it. Yeah. If a game starts out with a giant vertical tree level with some seemingly impossible to reach exit without some convoluted tree branch navigating, I tend to turn that game off the moment I recognize that's happening. I hate this level. I hate this game. I hate this stupid franchise. I pray to God I will never watch the movies.
You've heard of ingenuity, right? Well, this is ningenuity.
Time for go to bed.
Hey, you notice how not all of this footage is lifted directly from the trailers? I wonder what that's about. You must take the dagger to the dojo in the temple and give it to the Grand Master. If you can, try to find the 8 caged birds. All right, Grandpa. You maybe took too many blows to the head lately.
Level 4, Zone 3, Japanese Gardens. Sanguine samurai and sliding sumos are on the scene in their natural habitat.
This is a very long and winding level, and boy, if that music doesn't get grating by the second or third loop. Behold my bumbling. Moving platforms, falling bridges, freeing birds. Behold my pain. Fun fact, I got stuck on this level for a very long time because I thought you couldn't destroy these things. Every time I tried, it just made that ding, ding, ding sound. So I was left to wander around. Maybe there's a button, maybe there's something else I'm not seeing. But then I came back and just wailed on it for a long time and, well. And wait till you see what happens next. At the end, we are greeted by the happy mask salesman who wants the dagger right now. Perhaps it is time to delve into this mystery and discover just who is this masked... thank goodness. Grandpa saves us the trouble and tells us this was Koga in disguise, the one who tried to steal Grandpa's special dagger as a child many years ago. Prepare for your hottest battle! Level 4, Zone 4, Konang Dojo. It's time to put everything we've learned to the test. Purity, luck, courage, probably something about life insurance policies, people who listen to grunge music and how it's always okay to give knives to kids. You go from one end of the level, get to the roof, and walk all the way back. And it unceremoniously ends. Honestly, I'm 100% okay with that at this point. Level 4, Zone 5, Uh-oh, Sumo! I have no idea what happened there. I think I just got turbo slapped into oblivion. Did I mention that your health carries over between levels? Anyways, sumo time. But Tum Tum worships the sumo. In the path of the ninja, Tum Tum must learn to kill his idols. Look at this lovingly rendered beast of a man. Watch him quiver and undulate with deadly fervor. Watch him fall at the tiny hands of Tum Tum. Today, Tum Tum's childhood ends. There are no heroes here. There's Castle Osaka. How are we gonna get there? On the wings of eagles, Beavis. And then, the 3 ninjas simply decided to have hang gliders on hand. In the Sega CD version, there's a neat little first-person hang gliding bit. But again, the Super Nintendo version is the one we're cursed with today. I have the dagger and the samurai sword, but they tell me nothing. Only one man knows their secret. Grandpa! Man, Grandpa knows everything. From beyond the void, Grandpa speaks again. We gotta find the 8 gold doubloons and jam them in a door, but only if you really want to. You can just walk in, it's fine. The cave might collapse on you. I don't know. Have fun, kids. Go play in the freeway.
Level 5, Zone 1, Castle Osaka.
Of course, we are immediately greeted by a falling boulder. Because that is simply the way of the world of three ninjas. And if you aren't used to that by now, you've learned nothing. You have walked the riches path. This level is an awful lot like the cave one from earlier. Except now we have a soundtrack of rhythmically clattering pots and pans looping over and over. Once again, 10 out of 10 sound design. Perfect, no notes. All the meanwhile, of course, collecting all 8 golden coins. A frightening thought entered my head through the duration of this level. Begins to dawn on me how strange all this really is, and I start to have questions about how accurately this game depicts the events of the movie. This is a bad curiosity, as nothing positive can possibly be gained from knowing the truth. And yet, the draw has planted itself in my soul. If you ever find yourself playing this game, first off, don't. But if you find yourself here, don't bother with the gold coins. They don't seem to do anything other than allow you to skip a little escape sequence after the boss. You can take a lot of hits, and by this time in the game knows it. So they throw everything at you, including what's probably my least favorite enemy in the whole game, these stupid bats and their awkward hitbox. And at least as Tum Tum, I couldn't manage to hit them very well. So it was pretty much a guaranteed hit every time I found one, unless I got lucky and juked it. Just keep moving. Don't play this game without save states. Don't do that. Why would you do that? Don't. Stupid. Bravely run away. Just run away. That's always the answer. Just run away. The instruction manual even says to avoid confrontation, so just run away. Just run. Boy, it's just magic moment after magic moment down here, isn't it? I don't even know why. I don't even know what. Am I conking my head up on the ceiling? What's happening here? Does anyone know what's happening here? If you know, write your letters to 1122. I don't want to play this anymore. Tallahassee, New York, Connecticut, California. You might see some text pop up now and then. I'm not sure what that is. I think that's RetroArch flipping out on me. I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it, so I just told myself, like, whatever, just do the thing. You'll edit around it, it's fine. You're not going to use all of this footage. But I didn't, because that's a lot of work, so a lot of that is kept in. You're welcome. Now, normally I would edit this down and not show you so much of the level, but I really want to instill just how, if I can transport onto you the feelings, so you can feel just like at least a fraction of what I felt during this, that's the goal, right? So just sit here and watch. The level is long and winding, but thankfully it is at least mostly linear. It has its little alcoves and side branches, but they don't go very far. And thank goodness, like I said before, you don't have to get all of the gold coins to leave the level. We make it to what is perhaps the final confrontation. We socket all the coins and proceed. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's practically 8, right? Close enough. Koga is pointing a gun at Grandpa, who has apparently been getting into some wacky hijinks beyond the void. What's with the new getup, Gramps?
Level 5,
Zone 2, Cave of Gold. Sudden boss fight. At last, it is time to put an end to Koga's reign of terror. The most viable strategy I found was to skirt just around his range and try to goad him into tossing his staff to give you an opportunity to really wail on him. How cordial of him to let us do that. Much easier said than done. I do not envy the kids that had to play this without save states and use their dreaded password system back in the day. It's just a string of random attacks and attack patterns without any rhyme or rhythm, with no particular sense of telegraphing what's going to happen, so you're just going to take some hits now and then. You can learn to handle certain bespoke attacks, but when they're all in concert together, it's all just kind of a free-for-all mess. Sloppy. Unbecoming. What is this, Lords of the Fallen? Lies of P? But I digress. After beating him up, Grandpa extends a hand. Come with us. I guess the cave is collapsing and it's time to go. Level 5. Zone 3. Escape. Hey, you like auto-scrolling levels? Well, it's at least mercifully short. Koga has a change of heart, a learning moment, personal growth. A true ninja is free of all earthly desires. A true ninja believes in nothing, for we are all nothing. Life has no meaning and therefore no value. We wake up in the morning with recharged vigor only to rapidly accelerate the aging process of our already incredibly short lifespans in service to benefit some lofty bank account in the sky that nobody is allowed to touch. Least of all, you. A true ninja knows the futility of... Okay, Koga, I think you got some mixed signals in your ninja training. Then Grandpa congratulates either of us or Koga in a way I can only read as sarcastic at this point. Well done! You've finished the game! What an achievement! You are a true ninja! Yay! We join Grandpa in the dark void. Only a crude representation of a number is all we leave behind. A true ninja knows the futility of it all. Under game design, a Terry Lloyd is credited. According to Moby Games, Terry Lloyd got his start on stuff like the impossible Trailblazer on the MSX, to Rick Dangerous 2, and moved on to a world designer for Gauntlet Legends on the Nintendo 64, and up to stuff like Geon Emotions, a weird multiplayer Pac-Man type of game for the Xbox 360, and a European DS game in 2010 that I won't name because I feel like just having looked up this title probably put me on some kind of list, so I'll spare you the trouble. Music and sound is attributed to a Richard Joseph, who unfortunately passed away from lung cancer in 2007. According to Moby Games, he was mostly known for his work on Commodore 64 and Amiga games, and when I read that, suddenly the sound design in this game makes a lot more sense. This game sounds very much like an Amiga game played through a Super Nintendo sound chip. Now, I'm no sound-o-matician or anything, but as I understand it, different hardware was dedicated to producing different kinds of sounds. So, when you're writing for one platform, it can take some intense extra fiddling to make it sound good within sometimes incredibly specific limitations.
neutralize them.
For what it's worth, the Mega CD version of the game sounds much less grating. You can hear Richard Joseph's work in the James Pond games, the Sensible Soccer series, and Glover, you gotta love the glove! Glover for the Nintendo 64, Soldiers of Fortune, Rise of the Robots, and much more. The end of our time together with the world of Three Ninjas draws near. It's during the trials and tribulations of this final level that we may think back and reflect on all the great memories we shared. Well, maybe not necessarily all great. I mean, yes, there were many hardships. I know it really seems like I've spent more time griping, complaining, struggling than having fun. Was there any fun to be had at all, it seems? But there's this strong contradiction I can't get past in my head. What is this growing, palpable sense of loss that's beginning to settle in? An undeniable sense of nostalgia for a simpler time when a game being annoying was the biggest conceivable threat we could face. There's always been strife and looming threats above our heads in this world, and yet, as a child, even when those threats approached our orbit, our naivety made them feel planets, solar systems, universes away. Do you remember a time when you could live day by day without ever thinking about the ever-collapsing world around you? Like, the entropy of human existence, society collapsing in on itself just because the people in charge refuse to acknowledge the road we can all see just 2 miles ahead. These simple struggles provided by this stupid game, these nightmare hitboxes, the what were they thinking moments, are in a weird way comforting. Like an old friend we haven't seen in a long time who starts giving us crap the moment they walk in the door. But you love them. You grew up with them. They're one of the few who remember the pure essence of you. The you were before you grew up. And it's in that wandering, grasping sense that I can actually confidently tell you. Three Ninjas Kickback for the Super Nintendo, if I may borrow the words from R.J. Fletcher, is a festering bowl of dog snot. It's a game that does make a strong attempt to be greater than the sum of its parts, but sadly it was never going to succeed. It was a game based off of a terrible movie from a franchise that irritated everybody over the age of 5. Three Ninjas Kickback fell victim to generally poor reviews at the time, with outlets like GamePro stating, "Fans of the film might like it, but others should avoid these new kids on the block," with a 2.5 out of 5. Video Games and Computer Entertainment said of the Genesis version, "Go save yourself some time and move on to better things, unless you absolutely love the film. Homework can be more exciting. Have you ever studied the Civil War? Or better yet, try watching gladiator movies," with a 5 out of 10. Their Super Nintendo version curiously scored a point lower, saying, "This sort of game is an insult to the intelligence of all thinking beings, but it must be reviewed. Does anyone actually care about a game adapted from a dismal movie like Three Ninjas Kickback? Hopefully not. That said, the game is your standard platform action with cutesy graphics that revolve around a trio of suburban ninja kids who say witty things like, 'Let's kick butt,' Been there, done that. Ho hum. So, when is that Sony PlayStation coming out? Ho hum? I'm sorry, I thought this review was written in 1995 and not by an 1800s college professor. And when is that Sony PlayStation coming out is a bizarre thing to tack on out of context, I think. And they're kind of like going, I found the Three Ninjas Kickback novelization rather droll, if I do say. So, when are we going to finally be able to read books through screens on portable devices anyway? But, again, I digress. There are definitely worse games than Three Ninjas Kickback, but there are also infinitely better ways to spend your time as well, so don't play this game unless you have a video game archivist brainworm in you like I do. Now let us never talk of the Three Ninjas again.
Ooh.
Well, remember how I said I couldn't be paid to watch any of these movies? So, the bad news is I didn't get paid. The even worse news is that I did end up putting the movie on in the background while doing some other stuff. But wait, it gets worse. I'm planning on doing a little write-up video type thing on that experience later. Subscribe if you're interested in seeing that. Or unsubscribe to make sure that video never crosses your path. But wait, it gets worse.
Alright, you've played one of 722 North American Super Nintendo releases. What's coming up next? Let's take a look. A Class 7th Saga license. Better look next time.
The 7th Saga for the Super Nintendo came out in April 1993. September, Webster's Dictionary describes Saga. Webster Dictionary. If you at all enjoyed this little ride, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. Even though it doesn't always show, I do work hard on these, and it'd mean a lot to me and make me feel a lot less like I'm wasting my time shouting into an empty wind tunnel. I'm not asking for internet fame or anything, just a handful of cool-headed, similarly minded people to stick around and hang out with. That would be awesome. And also, really quick, if you're in the mood for a more low-key and introspective vibe than what I do, please check out my younger brother's channel, The Wrongest Trousers. He just put out his best video yet on the Outer Wilds and how much that game means to him. It's really good.
Nostalgia is so potent to the way our minds work. The warmth of those memories embrace us. The wildest part is not knowing when these happen. It could start as simple as deciding you're going for a walk, or maybe deciding that you're going to try painting for the first time. It could be trying to get back in touch with an old friend or family member. That show you've always wanted to try out. Or a game you've been hearing everyone talk so positively of, but are so quiet about what that game even is. Outer Wilds was talked about for a while.
And if you're in the mood for watching full playthroughs of an excitable chap shouting at video games, consider Schmelnick. He's good people.
Oh! They're attacking in tandem. Oh, I see. I have to wait for the opportunity. Now! Gross.
All three of us just started a new channel that has nothing to do with video games, where we look at all manner of internet horror and crack-wise.
Story so scary.
Have you ever heard a scary story before?
No.
I have. Once.
When?
Couple. A young boy lay sleeping in his bed when he heard footsteps outside his room. He peeked out of his eyes to see what was happening when his door swung open to reveal a murderer carrying corpses of his parents.
Hold on. Sorry to, already. He peeked out of his eyes?
He peeked out of his eyes.
How does one do that?
You have your hands.
I imagine.
You have your hands out. You grip your eyelids, and you just kind of peek around them.
Peek around the eyes. Just move them to the side a bit.
Anyways, it's the only triple S ranked horror channel and podcast. Story. So. Wait. I gotta put the reverb. Hold on. Story. So scary. I'm the Impar for Z-Targetable, and thank you for watching.